She walked into the silent mess hall. Every soldier dropped their spoon at once. The metallic clatter echoed through the long, dimly lit room like a warning bell. Forks froze mid-air. Conversations died halfway through sentences. The air felt thick, like it had been waiting for her before anyone even knew she was coming. Captain Mara Quinn stood at the entrance, her black hair tied back tight, her eyes cold as the steel tables before her. She wasn't in uniform. That was the first thing that unsettled them. She wore a gray civilian coat, damp from rain, and carried a duffel that looked too heavy for her frame. She didn't say a word. She just stood there, scanning the rows of faces like she was counting ghosts. The soldiers, all 42 of them, belonged to Fort Ironvale, a remote military outpost buried deep in the Colorado mountains. The kind of place where news came slower than snowfall and left faster than secrets. For months, strange orders had been arriving from Washington. Coded, conflicting, sometimes outright impossible. A few men whispered about classified experiments. Others joked it was just the government losing its mind again. But tonight, nobody was joking. Sergeant Walker was the first to stand. "Ma'am," he said, his voice steady, but his knuckles white around the table's edge. "Didn't expect to see you again." "You weren't supposed to," she replied, her tone flat. When Captain Quinn walked in, they all knew something real had finally caught up to them. That was when the power flickered. The overhead lights buzzed, went dim for a second, then steadied again. It was enough to make a few soldiers glance toward the ceiling, enough to make everyone else hold their breath. Captain Quinn walked to the center of the room. Her boots echoed on the concrete floor, sharp and hollow. She dropped her duffel on the table nearest her, the sound a heavy thud that made a few men flinch. Then she unzipped it slowly. Inside was a thick metal briefcase. No markings, no lock, just a red smear across one side, blood or paint. No one could tell. Walker hesitated. "That'd be me, ma'am." She looked up at the crowd of soldiers, her eyes sweeping over them again. "Who's in charge here now?" She nodded once. "Then you better come with me. We don't have much time." A murmur rippled through the hall. Private Hensley whispered to the man next to him, "What the hell's going on?" Captain Quinn turned sharply, her gaze slicing through him like a blade. "You'll know soon enough," she said. She and Walker left the hall without another word, leaving behind a room full of uneasy stares. Outside, the wind howled across the fort, carrying the sharp scent of pine and snow. The sky was black, moonless, starless. Only the faint hum of generators broke the silence. Quinn walked fast, her steps purposeful, her coat whipping behind her. Walker followed close, still trying to make sense of it all. "Ma'am," he said finally, "the last time we saw you was in May. You went out on that recon with Delta Squad. They said you never came back." Walker frowned. "Then how?" "I didn't," she said. "Classified," she cut him off. They stopped outside the old communications bunker, a concrete block half buried in snow. Quinn entered a code into the keypad. The door hissed open with a sound that felt too loud in the night. Quinn set the metal case on the console. Inside, the air was colder. The power hummed softly, lights flickering low. The room was lined with monitors, most of them dark. Only one screen glowed, a live feed showing the mess hall they'd just left. She looked at him for a long time. "You don't want to know." He gave a small, humorless laugh. "I think I do, ma'am. You just walked into my base after being declared dead 6 months ago with a bloody case that made every man in that hall freeze up. So yeah, I'd like to know." Walker stared. "You mind telling me what's in that?" She hesitated. Then finally she said, "It's a containment device." Her answer came quietly, almost swallowed by the hum of machines. For what we brought back. For what? Before Walker could ask more, a noise cracked through the radio on the wall. Static at first, then a distorted voice. Captain Quinn, this is Command. Do you copy? She froze. That voice wasn't supposed to exist anymore. Command had gone dark weeks ago. Their last transmission said evacuation was impossible. The voice stuttered, warping through static. You shouldn't have opened it. She reached for the mic. This is Quinn. Copy. Her hand tightened around the microphone. Repeat that. The transmission cut off with a harsh screech. Every monitor in the room blinked to black. You shouldn't have opened it. Walker took a step back. What the hell was that? Who? Quinn didn't answer. She turned to the metal case. Her breath quickened. They followed me. She opened the case. It's not a what, Quinn said. It's a who. What is that? He whispered. For a moment, Walker saw nothing inside, just a small glass container filled with faint blue mist, swirling like smoke caught in a jar. Then it pulsed, once, twice, as if something alive was breathing in there. The lights flickered again. The mist inside the jar began to swirl faster, pressing against the glass as if trying to escape. It was, she said. Until they turned the power back on. Walker stepped back. Tell me that thing's secure. When they reached the generator room, 2 soldiers were already there, pale and trembling. Captain, something's wrong with the system, one said. The power grid's feeding from an external line. But we're off the network. The bunker vibrated. A low hum deep beneath the floor. Somewhere outside, a siren wailed. Quinn grabbed the case, slamming it shut. We need to get to the generator. Now. They ran through the snow, the wind biting against their faces. The lights across the base began to flicker in rhythm, like a heartbeat pulsing through the fort. Do it. He hesitated. If we cut the power. Kill it, Quinn ordered. For a long, eerie moment, there was only the sound of breathing, fast, shallow, human. Then a voice, low and almost gentle, came from the shadows. He pulled the lever. Everything went dark. Walker raised his rifle. What is that thing? A faint blue glow rose from behind the generator. The mist had escaped, seeping through cracks, crawling along the floor like fog searching for warmth. Too late. Quinn didn't answer. Her eyes reflected the glow, wide with something that looked a lot like fear. The mist moved toward them, its shape flickering, almost human, but not quite. It whispered in fragments, voices overlapping, familiar and wrong all at once. You left me there. Walker's voice cracked. Is that? The mist surged forward. The lights exploded back on for an instant, revealing faces inside the fog, faces twisted in agony, mouths open but silent. Then everything went white. Yes, Quinn said quietly. It's them. Delta Squad. When Walker blinked, the generator room was empty. The mist was gone. So was Captain Quinn, but the case was still there, open again. And the blue light inside was growing brighter. The blue light grew until it filled the entire room, humming low like the sound of distant thunder rolling through metal walls. Walker shielded his eyes, stumbling backward, rifle raised, though he knew it wouldn't matter. The air turned cold, sharp with static. His breath came out in visible clouds. It wasn't mist anymore, it was shape. Body. A soldier. Then the light dimmed just a little, and a figure began to form in its center. The figure looked like her, same dark hair, same rigid stance, but her eyes glowed faintly blue. And when she spoke, her voice was doubled, like 2 people speaking at once. You shouldn't have stayed. Captain Quinn, Walker whispered. Walker froze. Where's the real Quinn? Walker took a step back, his boots scraping on the concrete. Shared with what? The figure tilted her head slightly, a half-human motion that sent a chill crawling up his spine. She's still here, it said. But she's shared now. It smiled, but the smile didn't reach its eyes. With us. Static answered him. Then a voice broke through. Sarge, what's happening? We're getting readings all over the place. Something's. The lights overhead flickered again. Outside, alarms began to wail across the base. The remaining soldiers, scattered and scared, spilled from their barracks, weapons drawn, eyes darting toward the glowing bunker. Walker grabbed the radio clipped to his vest. All units, fall back from the generator zone. Repeat, fall back now. What do you want? He shouted. The transmission cut off. Walker looked back toward the figure. It was moving toward him now, slow and steady, each step echoing hollow. It paused. You kept the lights on, it said softly. You fed us. Fed you? We are the echo of everything that was left behind. You took us into the dark, and now we take you back. Before he could react, the blue light surged again, slamming him into the wall. His body ached, vision swimming. He reached for his rifle, but the air around him seemed to thicken like syrup. He couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Then, through the brightness, a hand reached down. Human this time. Mara? He croaked. He gasped, trying to find his footing. What the hell is that thing? She was there, the real Captain Quinn. Face pale, uniform torn. Eyes filled with panic. Get up, she said, grabbing his arm. We have to seal it again. Quinn pulled him toward the console at the far end of the room. It's not one thing, it's many. We thought it was energy when we found it. A new kind of radiation, maybe. But it's memory, thought, the residue of whatever was there before. He did. Every soldier had heard whispers about it. A sealed zone. A vanished research team. Command said it was a geological anomaly, but some said the air there whispered when you breathed. Before where? The crash site, she said. You remember the old reports from Black Ridge? The meteor that wasn't a meteor. Keep it contained, she shouted. Walker grabbed another lever, helping her pull it down. Why didn't you destroy it? Quinn slammed her hand against a switch on the wall. The floor panels started to slide shut, metal shutters descending over the glowing case. The blue light flared violently, as if it knew what was happening. A loud crack split the air, like glass breaking. The container burst open again, shards flying across the room. The mist poured out faster than before, filling every corner. Quinn turned to him. If it touches you, it takes you, she said. Don't let it inside your head. She met his eyes, breath ragged, because it wasn't supposed to be alive. How do we stop it? She looked at him, and there was a flicker of guilt in her eyes. You don't! The mist lunged forward, wrapping around her like a storm. She screamed, falling to her knees. Walker tried to reach her, but her voice cut through the roar. Don't let it leave the base. The mist swallowed her whole. Then she was gone. Walker stumbled backward, coughing, heart pounding. He turned and ran, slamming the door behind him, sealing the bunker. He fell against the cold metal. Chest heaved. He gritted his teeth, pressing his forehead to the steel. I'm sorry, Mara, he whispered. Then he ran. Through the door, he could hear faint whispers. Dozens of voices overlapping, familiar ones, some laughing, some crying, some calling his name. Outside, the base was chaos. The night sky was pulsing faintly blue now, the glow leaking from vents, cracks, and windows. Soldiers shouted orders. Others fired blindly into the fog, creeping through the snow. But bullets did nothing. The mist just parted and reformed, rolling over them like a wave. Inside the tower, he slammed the door shut and locked it. The radio equipment was still working, powered by an isolated line. He grabbed the mic. Walker sprinted toward the comms tower, slipping on the icy ground. He knew it was a long shot, but if he could reach the emergency beacon, maybe, just maybe, someone would hear.